So, Alatreon's here in a few days, and every hunter is gathering their theoretical sets in advance. So, I thought it would be fun to cover what ideas I came up with beforehand, but the devs have released a lot of details pre-fight that have kind of shafted these. So the context of this video is going to be the ideas I had and improvements as I became more aware of the fight to come. The developers release more and more info about our first black dragon in Monster Hunter World each day. So with all that said, here is Bring It On, Alatreon. Anyone else think that sounds like a Pokemon screen title?
Bring it on, Alatreon.
Before many details were released about Alatreon, we only had the details from the old games. In the past games, it was weak to ice on the ground and weaker to dragon in the air. That's kind of a problem in World. Switching at the 10 isn't that viable over a hunt like this, and having 2 hunters on ice and 2 hunters on dragon is kind of awkward. So, people have the same response. What about raw? What about explosions? Sticky ammo? So I came up with this one. But first eat for Bombardier, and anything else. I get Acrobat or Riser. Make sure these are all vegetables, of course, because we want to be eating elementally. We are fighting the elemental dragon. So for this sticky set, we'll be going with 4-piece Raging Bracky and the Furious Rajang legs. I've got Razor Sharp Charm on, but attack can easily fit in here as well. We'll be using the Rajang Destroyer as our weapon with the following mods: Deviation Suppressor ×3, Shield, and Long Barrel. Health and attack augments are your best bet too. This naturally gives us Agitator level 7 for bonus attack, Artillery 5 to increase our sticky damage, Health Boost to keep us alive, and Spare Shot from the Charm to keep us in the fight for longer before we have to restock. We also get 1 weakness exploit, but we won't be using that this time. So once we've eaten elementally, we actually have 29 fire resistance, 7 water, 22 thunder, -2 ice, and 21 dragon. Alatreon has never used water in the past, so that's fine. And every element except ice is over 20, which means we won't receive those blights, which is amazing. However, the -2 ice is a massive problem. We'll be using a hard ice resistant jewel to get us to 18. We have a lot of slot space to play with, and we can actually get this over 20 if we add in some defense boost. Level 4 gives us +3 in all elemental resistances, so we can do this with a hard defense jewel and a normal 1-slot one. This isn't a skill that's usually ever worth considering, but we can't be blighted by Alatreon now. We could have just used blight resistance, but this way gives us a huge resistance in all of the elemental attacks as well, plus a tiny bonus in defense too. So let's make us fairly more unkillable now by adding in full Iron Wall and a shield jewel. This pairs nicely with an Iron Wall release decoration. We'll get our other 2 released with a 3-slot and a Fortitude release jewel for another defensive skill. Wait, why do we need ammo up if the Destroyer auto-reloads Super 3s? That's an excellent point, Stranger. Well done you. Having a 2-shot auto-reload chamber pairs nicely with Spare Shot, and if you take a hit mid-auto-load, it also means you have another chance to auto-load before having to access the deadly animation of the slow reload. Awesome, right? We have resistance to every element, decent defensive options, and amazing damage output. The last 3 slots I've gone for 3 protect. I'm not planning on dying here, but it's up to you. I actually feel guilty putting 1-slot jewels into 2-slot spaces, but let's not talk about that. I'm using the Impact and the Temporal Mantle, which will have 2 KO jewels and 2 attack jewels respectively. The idea here is to stay super bulky, blocking and absorbing all the attacks whilst keeping our health up from the huge damage we'll be applying from the health augment, all whilst keeping a bit of distance between us and the deadly Avatar Apocalypse Dragon. But then the devs said this.
Players need to be especially wary of one thing: the powerful shockwave it emits when changing between elements.
That doesn't look good.
That's putting it lightly.
Fuck. Okay, so sticky might not be a good idea here, and it also might be able to use water. So sticky damage won't help the elemental shift attack, even if we're dealing more damage. So what do we do now? We could run all 4 elemental builds it's supposedly weak to in those stages. Fire, dragon, water and ice, 1 per person. But that's effort if at one time your element is doing sweet FA. If we're running a team of 4 like this, the least effective elements could concentrate on tenderizing and healing, I guess. But I feel like dragon would be quite consistent as an element to use. Not to mention all dragon weapons weaken elders with Elder Seal. I just have a feeling that I'll have some relevance here. Here's a set I came up with that's survivable. I know we'll get meta and attack haters here, but Alatreon isn't going to be a joke, so we want to live. Anyway, here's a consistent bow set that we base the idea of staying far away from the action on, constantly circling Alatreon and applying decent damage. Even on the occasions where a bad hit zone is available, you'll still be applying a small amount of damage. This is a safety consistency set, damage over time. We've taken the set we used from our video OP spread elemental bow builds and adapted it. So, Kiar Bow Decay. Although if you have an organised team of 4, you might want to switch up your elements like we discussed earlier. Most of the Kiar bows can be swapped in here instead, so you decide what's best. The Raging Brachyhound Beta, the Kirin Alpha Chest, the Rex Raw Alpha Braces, the Tentacle Coil Gamma, and the Tentacle Greaves Gamma. This naturally gives us Constitution level 4 to keep up our stamina and remain far away from the danger, Health Boost 3, because duh, Critical Eye 3 to help us out with our crit, but we'll be adding to that as well. Evade Extender 3 will help us keep our distance, a bonus in 2 attack is nice. Recovery Speed 2 is another bonus. Thunder Attack 2 is spare, but if you end up using the Kiar Spark, bear in mind that you have this. 1 Weakness Exploit, which we'll be building into as well. 1 Divine Blessing is nice, with Critical Element and Element Acceleration. So most bows focus on the spread shot because of its power, but here we're playing the long game, without risk. So we'll be using 2 Force Shot in our 3 slots. We'll eat all vegetables for elemental resistance, and we'll go for Black Belt, which is essentially Constitution, and normal shots to increase our basic attack power. Our charm will be the respective element, and the skill will be finished by 1 slot in that duel, bar the Kiar Spark. We'll boost up our critical eye to 50% with these duels, also having our Fortify. Note here we only need crit eye level 6 to get to 50%. We'll be tenderizing our part using the Temporal Mantle and gaining our other 50% from Weakness Exploit. If you have a Tenderizer Physique duel, you can use this to top up your Constitution roll, but we already have plenty of stamina. A Mighty Bow duel. We mostly have everything we need for this tactic, so let's use our last 4 slot for a critical protection duel and our last 1 slot for protection, increasing our damage slightly and giving us level 3 protection too. The final mantle will be Evasion, to help us with our survival and add on a nice attack bonus too. Let's throw on 2 more crit boost duels and some attack on the Temporal. Unlike the previous build, the idea here is to stay the fuck away from any danger with our stamina and evade skills. Just keep doing laps. And hey, if you miss your weak spot, not the end of the world with a bow. Just shoot the thing as many times as you can, as fast as you can. Maybe use certain opportunities to grab more power coatings. It's hard to say just yet. Awesome, seems safe and consistent enough. And if you have a decent squad, you could run the 4 elements this week too at different stages. Same set, different elements, dope. Also, if you're all circling the dragon with the same bow set, I bet it would look kind of beautiful, like synchronized swimming. If Alatreon is in a state that resists one of those 4 builds, then assign that player to wounding, healing and buffing. Makes sense, if you have 3 friends that is. This was a tricky one, but we'll probably all be completely wrong when the fight comes out. But, you know, content. Maybe bowgun shooting different elements might be an option, but in my experience the damage output for these builds have seemed really low, and I think that would apply to Alatreon too. I guess we'll just have to find out. So can I say anything confidently? Nope. Just a theory. I'm sure I'll be doing a video on Alatreon afterwards when we learn something new, but until then, respect the Avatar, respect the first Black Dragon in world, and respect each other. Like and subscribe, spread the word, and look after yourselves. Thank you.